Why is the black silence is so
Hey y'all, how
deafening?
y'all doing? I hope all is okay. There's an interesting video going around about why are black people silent? And I can't speak for every black person because we're not a monolith. Black people come in all shapes, sizes, genders, gender identity, and cultural ethnic backgrounds, and also throw in a little religion and maybe secular as well. But as an American, as an African American, with the knowledge of the history of this country and how historically my ancestors, my people, are continually being used, abused, mistreated, disrespected, marginalized, yada, 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 and to watch in real time laws that many have died and bled for and put their lives on the line, going up against racist sheriffs, water hoses, dogs, all kinds of threats of brutality, car bombing, house bombings, burning crosses in their yard. And to watch after decade of fighting for that and finally getting the Civil Rights Act of 1964-65, and here we are in 2025. We talk about no more than 50 some years later, and we're still witnessing the wickedness and the evilness of white racists who want to sustain white supremacy. We witnessed an election where everybody seemed like they were singing Kumbaya and all well united. And when it was time for us to cast our vote, they decided on a racist, a criminal with felony convictions, a bad business person, a person who has the moral aptitude of a chihuahua. Yes, that's who y'all chose over someone who we know. If we look at all the mess that's going on right now, if we would have chose Kamala, how many of y'all can honestly say we'd be going through this chaos? So we're silent because we're tired. We're tired of telling y'all, look, shit ain't right here. We're suffering. We're not living like most people in the world. Look at China. Go to the store with $20, come out with bags and bags of groceries. You try to go grocery shopping with $20 over here. So we're tired. And so to me, black silence represents exhaustion. Or shall I say, a recognition that it is what it is. This is how these people have always felt about us. The whole, oh, we're in a post racial society bullcrap narrative dispelled. Donald Trump not being a racist. And Mr. Ooh, I done a lot for the blacks. Yeah, right. The whole policy of turning South African apartheid survivors into martyrs and giving them refugee status in this country while we're kicking out black and brown people daily. Yeah, that's why we're silent. We're sitting here, we're watching how y'all nature is never going to change. This is who you all are. So when you all threaten us with things like segregation, we welcome them because a lot of us, the majority of us, have reached a point where we feel it's best to stay amongst our own people. You all are safe to come into our spaces, but it's not safe for us to come into your neighborhoods, your communities, your shopping stores, okay, your religious facilities. We never know what we're going to get. Your events, your concerts. We never know. So we're silent. We're tired. Leave us alone, please.
Hello guys, welcome once again to the channel. I hope wherever you're watching, you're having a great time. Now, currently, white Americans are under serious trouble. They are looking at their black counterparts and wondering, why is it that black people are not voicing their suffering like we do? Because they're looking at how Trump's presidency in this second term is dealing with them, and it seems they are not happy about everything that they are going through. For example, remember when they were talking about them not wanting immigrants to be living in their country. But then immediately Trump embarked on aggressive deportations of immigrants. They started crying about the impact of this immigration laws because they were seeing their farms remaining unattended to. And then again, when it came to the question of Trump's trade policies and the tariffs that he's been imposing on different countries, white farmers came out crying, and they're saying that these tariffs are making us not have that ability to sell our soybean to China. Trump went ahead to bail out Argentinian farmers instead of American farmers. So they are looking at everything in totality, and they're realizing that why is it that black people are not crying as they are? Is there an answer to this question? Because many whites are right now asking themselves this hard question, and they wonder what blacks are doing or how they are getting through these tough economic times in America. It is quite interesting how some of them believe that blacks are having some secret deals that they are going through. So in today's video, I have compiled clips of them crying and black people answering to them and telling them that we are used to this kind of situations and therefore we didn't expect anything. You know, for some whites, they believe that immediately Trump gets to office, they are going to have a new America where only white issues are addressed, only things that affect whites are addressed. But then they didn't know that Trump was going to dismantle everything that was working for them. So I want you to watch this clip. I shall come back in the end with my commentaries.
I have been struggling on how to say this, and I made a video earlier, I took it down, but y'all are focusing on the wrong people. Y'all are focusing on why don't black people care what Trump is doing. We do. But we're focusing on us and ourselves to survive through this. What y'all need to be focused on instead of, well, why aren't black people actively protesting and doing all the things that they usually do? One, because we told you we're not going to do that anymore. Okay, we told you. Y'all didn't listen. Two, because we can't help you as much as the people you need to help you. Okay? You need white people. You're focusing on black people, you need to focus on white people. You need to get their attention, their compassion, their empathy, their social and political power. You're focused on the wrong people. You're focused on the wrong demographic. Black people don't make up the vast majority of this country. We don't make up the vast majority of politicians. We are not in the White House. I'm telling you, you need to focus on white people and getting them to actively care and campaign and protest in your name, in your favor, and leave black people alone.
Okay, I think I figured out why Harmony and people is calling black Americans cowards and carrying on because we not out there in the streets. They thought that we had no self-control. That's what they thought. They thought that when we was doing all that stuff, like in 2020 and Ferguson and Baltimore and stuff like that, and LA riots and stuff like that, it was just because we, they were so easily provoked that as soon as somebody do something to one of us, we don't have any strategy, we don't have any type of thought process. We just go like an attack dog. They thought that we had no self-control, and us deciding to sit out and being all on one accord and being strategic and not reacting is showing a level of self-control that they did not realize that we had. They thought they didn't know about us. They thought that we are messing up their perception of us. They are having a crisis about our identity, about Black Americans' identity. Everybody is. Immigrants are having a crisis about our identity. White folks is having a crisis about our identity. They thought that they could count on us. They thought they knew us. And they never knew us because they didn't know our motivations. They didn't know what we were doing. They just saw the effects and they heard what the media said and they took it and ran with it. So even the people that was like, oh, we support you, this, that, the other thing. They thought that we were, justified, but they also thought we were uncontrollable. Because that's why they'd be like, be peaceful when you go out there. I know you got to go out there, but do it like this. Like, they think they treat us like we're children, like we are feral, unruly children. And now that we are showing them that we knew what we was doing the whole time. But now that we are showing them now, yeah, we're good. You go ahead and do that. They can't handle it. They can't handle it because it's messing up what they thought they knew about Black Americans. This whole year has been a mind fuck for them. Between us sitting out, between us delineating, we're really showing them in real time who we are. But we always knew, what they say, if you don't know.
So more people are wondering why Black people aren't completely freaking out on the idea of losing their public assistance like Section 8, SNAP benefits, and Medicaid. And please understand, some are, because if they have children, they're going to wonder how they're going to supplement feeding them and the medical care that they so desperately need, and of course housing. But you got to go back to the beginning and remember that when these programs first started, Black people were not allowed to get them. They would not give them. The government would not give these programs or these supplements and public assistance to Black people. They refused. And of course, going through everything, and once we started getting them, one of the things they would do is find any excuse to try to take them off of those programs by sending inspectors to the Black homes that received public assistance. Even my own husband speaks of when he was a child and his mother, who was a seamstress, she would, sew on the side, make dresses and do all kinds of things to make extra money. And when the inspectors came by, she would have to hide her toaster, she would have to hide her sewing machine, because they felt that if you could afford any of these things, you didn't need to have public assistance, so they could take you off of public assistance. So my main point is that Black people have never totally relied on these programs to live. We have always worked under the table, had a side hustle, whether it's cook dinners, sew, clean houses, drive people around, whatever it was. We always had a side hustle, and that is just basic. So even though Ronald Reagan did everything he could to sell the idea of the welfare queen, because if they painted Black people as abusers of the system, then it made sense to be able to try to dismantle these programs, because racism is expensive. We don't have universal health care. We don't have universal free college education, because if they have to give it to Black people, they know that white people will feel resentful and be okay with certain cuts being made. And it's not until they realize that these cuts are being made to them as well do they realize what they're losing. Hence the No Kings protests. But just know, Black people have never totally relied on these programs. We have always had a side hustle. So racism is expensive. Remember that.
I am so glad that the riots in LA do not have any Blacks involved in it. I haven't seen one Black person involved in the LA riots that's going on right now. And that's good, because in the last, as far as I can remember back, all the riots have been involved. Some Black people have been involved somewhere. And it's a rarity not to see Black people involved in a riot in America. It's funny, isn't that, if you think about it. But this is what you got to understand with the Latino community, Spanish-speaking community, is that you got to be careful that this doesn't backfire on you, because what we're seeing in the news is these federal agents are out front, standing there, not bothering anybody, just protecting the other federal troops that have come in to deport people who are bad for the country, and maybe bad for you too. And so what they're standing there, not bothering anybody, just protecting their property. And you guys go in, insult them, curse them, throw rocks, throw bricks at them. And when they come through the streets, you throw bricks at them, and the Democrats call this a peaceful protest. I don't know what kind of peace you're talking about, because the peace I know is that you stand there, you yell, you scream, but you don't throw bricks, you don't insult, and you don't throw water bottles at them, because that antagonizes them to defend themselves and to get you. And when the federal people, I don't think you understand what a federal offense is. When you get a federal charge against you, you might as well go back to your country, because you can't get a job, especially on a federal felon. You can't get a job, you can't vote, you can't own a firearm. It's so many things that's against you if you want to take care of your family, even if white people, even if white people are involved in a felony from the federal government, it's huge. You cannot get no bigger than that. So be careful. And then what I'm talking about is that when your race is out there throwing rocks at the federal government and showing yourself this way, it will backfire on you, because America will see you in a different light and disdain on you when your kids go to school and say, oh, well, those are the people that attack those federal agents. Those are the people that ride in the streets. And the backfire is you get what we as black people get all the time. You get that disdain for your race, and you people should get together and find out how you can come up with a solution rather than rioting in the streets of America. And this is what Americans are looking at right now, is that you're in the streets fighting for somebody else who is being deported, and you're waving your country's flag at the same time, throwing bricks at the Americans on American soil and destroying American property while on American soil, while holding your country's flag. We don't get it. Help us to understand what it means to tear America down while you're in your flag. Now, think about this. Think about an American or American citizens in another country doing the same things you're doing. How long do you think they would not shoot tear gas at us or throw smoke bombs at us or these blasting things? How long do you think before they would actually shoot and kill us if we did this in another country? You need to think about that, how much grace that you have here, that the American government is treating you and not shooting you down as you would in the country that you live in. You can't go to your country and riot like you do here and not get shot with real bullets. We're throwing out rubber bullets, real bullets. And so another thing is that the Democrats are saying, this is a peaceful protest. They have not come out one time and said, this is bad. We need to take back and find another way to work these issues out. The Democrats don't care. All they want is confusion and chaos in America. The party for good should stand for good. And so I hope that Trump doesn't call the Marines out, because something about the Marines in their brains, that when they put on that uniform, it's something snaps in them, and they come to your country or to your city. It's not good, because the generals have to contain these guys, because they go into a serious battle mode. They're just trained this way. So I hope that the National Guard can put this down and people will go home and try to figure another way out. But if the Marines come in, it's going to be a whole different story. But don't let this backfire on you, because people will see your race worse than they see the black race. And that, my friend, is not good at all. This is Gilbert Wilkerson, Black Society.
Don't call me baby.
Yeah, girl, hell no. We at home, we at the cookout. If you like me, we at the spa, we getting a massage. We are wherever the hell y'all were when we were going through it. Because let's not play these games like y'all were outside. We were outside with our bloodline on the main line, and y'all was somewhere else. Okay, now the shoe's on the other foot and it's not funny anymore. And everybody wants a defense. Everybody wants us to run to the rescue. This ain't our battle, baby. Let's get real. Who voted for him? Who showed up to them polls and voted for him? Now, I'm not saying what's happening is right, but who showed up and voted for him? Latinas for Trump, that's who voted for him, okay?
So can we talk for 1 second about white comfort and how a lot of black Americans run from their power because they're scared to scare white people? As black Americans, we've internalized white people's standards of how people should be, of how people should act, not realizing that they operate on a system of fear, of trying to avoid natural consequences, of stealing, of killing people, and of not playing fair in this world. We don't share the same history as them. We don't share the same karma as these people. So when we're playing the game, when we're operating in society, I'm not saying act a fool or completely disregard social norms, but what I am saying is do what you have to do, but also if a rule needs to be broken, break it. You're not breaking a rule, you're following your natural guidance system. You have to trust your natural guidance system, because this system was not created for us to win. This system was not created for us to thrive. You know what I mean? They pretty much gave us the blueprint of how to act, how to speak, how to dress, how to show up, and called it laws. and called it, oh, the social norm. This is what everybody does. This is just normal. When in all actuality, they're trying to force us to operate in a way to keep them safe. They want us to operate in a way that doesn't spark any inspiration of a revolution. Like
92% of the black community have decided to stand down and to let them do all the work. We have showed them the game plan. We have told them what to do. We tried to lead them to the glories of fresh water, and they decided not to drink it. At this point, it is not our fault if you starve. It is not our fault if you are dehydrated. If you are thirsty, drink, because we showed you how to create a pond of water within your hands. Seeing the entire country quite literally and figuratively burn down to the ground, I'm not gonna lie, it kind of makes me a little anxious. Because I am missing something. I am missing something incredibly important. You know what that is? I am missing a black woman who can drink hot green tea with me. That's what I'm missing. For those who don't know, I am absolutely obsessed with green and jasmine tea. It's one of my favorite drinks. No sugar, no GMOs, no added supplements, just the nature and the leaves itself. What's interesting is this. Every now and then, I will get tagged into videos from other people of color, and they will ask me and other black people, why don't you help us? Why won't you help us? Why are you abandoning us? It's the same answer of what I said 3 months ago after the presidential election. You betrayed us. We trusted you and you stabbed us in the back. Here is a phrase that I continuously say to my friends because it is critically important. Trust and love is very important. However, trust is 10 times more valuable than love ever will be. I can still love you. I can still care about you. But I do not trust you enough to where you won't stab me in the back. Trust is the complete opposite. I can despise you and you can be my enemy, but I am no fool. If I can trust you enough to where you won't stab me in the back, then that trust will be placed. It's the same way with this. To the Latinos, to the Asians, to other people of color, I do care about them. I love y'all even. But I am no fool. I know I can't trust you because that election told me everything I needed to know. That election told me that a lot of you is not on the black community side. Love itself, my love for you, is not enough for me to have faith in you. If your trust was unbound and you continuously shown to me and everyone else that you are worth to be trusted, then we wouldn't be having this conversation now, would we? But because you have shown time and time and time again that you cannot be trusted, why are you acting surprised when we take our trust back? People need to understand that black people are not hateful. We care about you guys. We do love you guys, but we can't trust you for shit. So if the entire country has to burn down for you to realize that you have placed your trust into the wrong people, then so be it. That's all I gotta say on the matter. It is Onyx, and I'm gone.
Y'all want black people to protest. Y'all want us to petition. Y'all want us to march. Where were the votes? Where were y'all at in November? Because that's really all we needed from you. That's all we asked of you. Where are the votes? You want us to march? Why don't you march your ass to them polls and vote for Kamala? Every marginalized group want black people to fight. When are we going to win? I'm tired of just fighting for everybody else to win. When do we get the W? Because this funny thing happens. Every time we get out there and start fighting for everybody else gets the W. They get to take home the trophy. They get to take home the ring. But black people just get stuck with the fight. So let's try it the other way. How about y'all fight and we take home the trophy and the ring and the W? How about that? Y'all spent a year and a half singing and dancing. I will vote for Donald Trump. Y'all sitting up there shaking shoulders and shit. And now your rights being taken away. Now you're getting kicked out of a country that you came here in the right way. You came here the right way. Y'all, a lot of y'all are going through the correct process. Y'all are actually doing what you're supposed to do and you're still getting kicked out. It's not the system, it's the person. You voted this person in and now you're suffering the consequences. I really ain't got too much sympathy, mainly because all of this shit was avoidable. All you had to do was vote. That's all you had to do. But you decided to do the fool and vote for your boy, and now here we are. So you either wait your 3.5 years and we try it again, or next year during midterm elections, you can get the right people in Congress that'll actually make a move for you, because representation in there, they ain't doing shit but what that man says. So unless you decide to vote blue, you gonna have to get out. You gonna get flued out.
Would say things like, well, we can't have black people and Mexicans and Chinese folks in our unions because if we do that, it's gonna reduce the professionalism of our craft. We have to maintain the integrity of our profession. No, fool, you need more people in the damn union is what you need. And if you don't let those folks in, guess what happens? When you go out on strike, who is the boss going to use to replace you? They're going to replace you with the very same black and brown folks that you didn't want to work next to, right? And so at the end of and then you're going to blame them for taking your job rather than the white rich dude for giving it to them, right? Divide and conquer, telling not rich white folks that their enemies are black and brown. And now we fast forward to the president. We got the president of the United States becoming president on the basis of that same rhetoric, telling not rich white folks that the reason they don't have a job is because Mexicans took them, right? That's the argument. Keep in mind, there's been a net outflow of Mexican folk from this country, out of this country in the last 10 years. Right now,
as a black American, you don't need to be humble because you have to be your biggest advocate. When you go into these spaces where there aren't many, if any, people rooting for you or looking for you to be capable, being too humble, being meek or quiet, it's not going to serve you. It's just going to allow you to be overlooked. So let your intelligence show, let your efforts be seen, let them know that you're there, and do it without code switching, because that's what's going to serve you the most.
How does it feel to be white in America? Well, it's kind of hard to answer because there's a lot of problems with that, answering that question. Being told you're privileged when you're born is wrong, because most people who are poor, like myself, weren't born privileged in any way, shape, or form. You know what privilege is where you're born rich. I wasn't born rich. Don't call white people privileged when they're not.
This is what I was talking about when I said black Americans were the blueprint. Because in Latin America, we don't have things like that. I've never seen a lot of black actors in my entire life while I was living there. So yes, I'm gonna give their flowers all over again. And I'm sorry if I'm overhyped, but I'm very proud for all the work that you guys have done. So give it up again.
Do you know black Americans are the richest black people on earth?
What statistic
Africa.
is that? Okay, I need you to pull that up like right now.
You can. Black Americans per capita on average.
Can you pull that up?
I'm hosting an event right now. I don't know what to tell you, but anyone can fact check me on this. So you cannot find a black majority country or any country where black people have significant representation where they are as wealthy, because even the poorest people in America are in the top 5%, the top 2% of wealth around the world. And so my whole belief is stop acting like you're a victim and start making better choices.
Not acting like a victim, whoa.
Respect.
This is not a victim mentality.
No, it fundamentally is, because white people are not out to get you. There's nothing. There is nothing holding black people back. Let me say that again. There is nothing holding black people back. In fact, the opposite. You can get into colleges with lower test scores. But you could say things that white people can't say and not be fired for.
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Now, listening to everything that you've just watched, I believe you get to understand why many whites are enraged and they do not want to listen to anything that Trump is telling them. They're looking at the economic prospects and they're not happy about anything because they believed Trump was their person. Trump was a white nationalist who talked about how he's going to reverse the changes in the society that are happening currently. For example, many whites believed that if immigrants continue invading their country and blacks continue having their birth rates high, then there is a possibility that they would be considered extinct in some years, and they don't want to lose that power and dominance that they have had over the years. So when they look at how Trump is addressing the challenges that they have currently, they are worried and asking themselves tough questions about whether Trump knows what he's really doing, or he's just somebody who came into office and does not understand how he needs to address issues affecting whites and whites only. And I guess this is also why they didn't want Kamala Harris, because Kamala Harris looked like he's a person of color and they don't want to have anybody on top who does not embody or even look like them. So they have a lot of problems, and these problems, if you ask me, they brought it upon themselves. They brought those problems upon themselves because how on earth did they elect Trump knowing that Trump did not have any experience of making anything work within the American society. So that is a problem that they have to deal with by themselves. Many white Americans who supported Donald Trump often expected his policies to restore what they viewed as traditional social and economic hierarchies, where white Americans, particularly from working class, would regain status, jobs, and cultural centrality. When this expectation did not fully materialize, and when data showed some minority groups, especially Black Americans, faring relatively well, frustrations and confusion arose within certain segments of this base. The anger is partly rooted in a perception that Trump's presidency was supposed to reverse perceived losses in power or privilege experienced since the Obama era. Under Trump's first term, Black unemployment reached historic low before the COVID-19 pandemic, dipping to around 5.4% in 2019, the lowest recorded since federal tracking began. Wages for Black workers also rose modestly during this time, and Black-owned businesses saw increased access to capital and record participation in federal contracting programs. This economic market suggests that, contrary to expectations among some Trump base, Black Americans were not uniquely disadvantaged under his policies. At the same time, many white working-class Americans continued to face stagnant wages, rising healthcare costs, and community decline, particularly in rural and industrial areas. Some saw this as unfair. They felt left behind, while political rhetoric emphasized law and order and America first. The visible resilience of Black Americans, whether in business, culture, or activism, challenged the narrative that Trump's America primarily benefited white supporters. The cultural dimension of this resentment is equally significant. For decades, racial identity has been intertwined with social status in American politics. When Black Americans show economic progress or political confidence under conservative administration, it disrupts old assumptions about dependency, inequality, and social hierarchy. Some white Americans interpret this as a loss of exceptional standing rather than as a national gain. Ultimately, the anger stems less from Black America's relative success than from an emotional and political dissonance. Trump's nationalist message promised cultural restoration to certain white Americans, yet the outcome did not align with that vision. Meanwhile, Black Americans' resilience under the same administration became symbolically proof that power and prosperity in America are no longer racially predictable. And that is what is happening. You realize that they expected that if Trump gets power, Black people would start declining economically, Black people's opportunities in federal government agencies will start reducing, but to them they are looking at Black people and they are wondering, how resilient can a people be? These Blacks are defeating us in almost everything. So it is worth noting that whites have never wanted anything good for Blacks, and therefore if they find Black people not complaining as they are, they start asking themselves some questions. But they're forgetting that for years, Black people have been subjected to an equal playing field where whites have been given a head start and Blacks are meant to start from behind. But still you find that even in such kind of circumstances, Black people are still rising and they are able to do certain things that make whites ask themselves whether they are talented or they are just human beings who are brought here to fill up this earth space. Share your thoughts down in the comment section, and if watching us for the first time, remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share. Thank you, and let's meet on the next one.